Now we are live. Okay. Hey, hey, hey. This is Mary at Mary Unapologetic, and I am back. Folks, I just want to remind you that I do this podcast twice a month. So it's every other Tuesday. And I want to probably keep it like at 5 p.m. Pacific time every time. So today I was actually in a hurry because literally I just walked in from work, picking up my daughter, and then dropping off the Riker to get repair because there's some minor problem with it. And it's just hectic. You know what I mean? And I told my guest, Ermelinda, by the way, folks, my guest today is Ermelinda. And so, hi, Ermelinda. Do you want
Hello,
to introduce yourself?
I'm Ermelinda Gonzalez, and I work with Dead Effect Paint and Stamp Repair in
Mm-hmm.
Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike Toledo trained my husband, trained me and my two daughters, and going to be soon training my other daughter.
Mm. It's like the whole family.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I apologize that, I told you earlier, Melinda, I'm like, okay, I'm running late here because of all this stuff that I did today. I didn't even have time to wind down and like, you know what I mean? Be ready for
Yeah.
this. I mean, literally, I just walked in and I'm like, 5 o'clock, I got to make it happen. You know what I mean? so so luckily you're like a such good sport. You're like, don't worry about it, Mary. I know you're always busy. And I figured I'll invite you because I know how, life can be chaotic. And you guys, it's like what? How many kids you have? Four?
We have four children,
Yeah,
nine
four
grandchildren.
children, and they're all adult now, right?
Correct.
And then
Yes.
the stories that I've heard from you guys, especially Ray, which is your husband, it's like I'm like, wow, how do you guys make it, or how do you make it happen? Luckily, everyone's like, I think most of you guys working for Dent Effect, right? Except Mo, the one in Texas, right?
Yeah, Mo has Southpaw now, and Melissa recently just got her own too, so she's Shorty's PDR.
So is she like separating from Dent Effect?
Yes, she took over Mo's section
Mm.
for the wholesale account that we have. They wanted two separate PDR teams, so she took
Mm-hmm.
that side when Mo left.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I think Mo left because I guess she wanted to be closer to her husband's family, right? Or is it? Do you have a family there in
Um,
Texas?
no, it's Cruz's. Her husband Cruz's kids live there and his family,
Mm.
so she wanted them to be closer so they could be closer to the children.
Oh, that is so nice of Mo.
Yes,
You know what
she's
I
so sweet.
mean? Because she
Family
left
is
you guys
everything.
for that. You know what I mean? That is so nice of her. Okay, score
Eventually,
one
probably come
point.
back.
What? What?
Eventually, she'll probably come back. They always do.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. That's what I've heard. Yes. So, but hey Mo, if you're listening or if you watch this later on, you score a point for me. I mean, from me. That is so nice of her to do that. Um, so I invited you because I figured, okay, what a better, way to like come in, pick your brain, how you manage raising four kids, because I only have three. Well, when I had two, it was already bananas. Then I had my third one, and that's even, bananas. It got even crazier, right? Because now I'm like trying to divide myself and try to give the same attention, as I would give my first child to the with the to the second, the third. So I'm like
Yes.
getting pulled right and left. So I figured I'll ask you and invited you here so that way you can like maybe share some information here or share some knowledge of how women out there who's trying to juggle work and raising four kids, and then now you got grandkids too that you are also helping out babysit, as far as babysitting, correct?
Correct. It's never ending.
Well, let me ask you, okay? Because I just like to kind of like plan 5 years and 10 years from now. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe where Ray and Ermelinda is at right now, maybe it's my future, probably 10 years from now. So what is it like to actually babysit your grandkids?
Well, actually, let Ray say it. We don't babysit.
Huh? Oh,
We don't
Ray.
babysit.
Oh, okay.
He says if I babysit, he's going to the casino.
Wait a minute. So, so,
He
so
said they have
basically,
siblings, so they can ask them to babysit.
oh, so this is your okay. Okay, this is good. This is good. This is good insight because in the Filipino culture, obviously, folks, I'm like half and half. So my mom's from the Philippines, so I've seen her culture, and I grew up in two culture combined. American culture and Filipino culture. So in the Filipino culture, the grandparents usually help out the kids to watch the grandkids. And because usually the kids are trying to also figure it out themselves, right? Unless they have their crap together. I was going to say SHIT, but I'm like, no, don't say that. So let's make it nice better. Crap. so so some of them hasn't figured it out yet, so they usually go to their mom to help with the grandkids. So I guess the way you guys operate is different. So this is the Gonzalez family. So he's basically saying if you babysit, he's gonna go to the casino and leave you babysitting.
Yes. He does give in every now and then.
Mhm.
But he usually doesn't like to because a lot of times they'll say we'll be right back, and then it turns into 4 hours or more. Mo, you know what we're talking about. But
So
to me, I enjoy, it doesn't really bother me to be able to watch the grandkids and that.
mhm,
And the older ones are, really easy because they're teenagers right now.
mhm,
It's the younger ones. It's a little more challenging because uh in my 50s, and crying babies and that sometimes is can get to you.
mhm,
But yeah, usually being able to raise our kids the way that me and Ray raised them, um, they were able to raise their children, and hopefully they'll be able to, I don't know, if they want to watch the kids for them whenever. I know the kids get mad when I can't babysit because they don't have anybody to watch the kids. But
mhm,
then again, Ray's like, well, they're adults. So, which is true, they are adults, but sometimes they do need help.
mhm,
When I was in my 20s and that, when I had my kids, my
mhm,
mom had to help me. She would actually even take Monique and Melissa over to her work, and she would keep them there while I worked, and that because I had to work and I couldn't take them, but her job allowed her to be able to take them with her.
uh-huh,
And one time there was when we lived in Alaska, Monique, I helped her out with Jesely. I
mhm,
worked from home, so I was able to watch her, and in between calls and that, I would teach Jesely her math and how to read and write and stuff like that.
mhm,
So we have watched them, but just as you get older, you tend to want to be on your own.
mhm. I think too, since we're in this topic, I think because this is what I noticed too. As we get older, your patience just keep like going down, going down,
Yes.
going down. You know what I mean? Especially, I think I don't know about for man because I can't speak for man, but I think maybe for women because that's when your hormones starts changing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So and then for me, I've heard it for years that, hey, wait until you hit this, wait until you hit this. This is what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just like, yeah, 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 yeah. Well, at a young age, that's when I decided, you know what? I'm going to take care of my health. So that way, when I get older, I don't have all these problems that I'm hearing that people were complaining about 30, 40 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm actually happy that I did that, because now that I'm in my 50s too, I'm like, you know what? I think from my opinion, okay? Because people probably doesn't feel the same way as I do. I feel like I'm in good shape, or I look good for 50s. You know what I mean? I'm like past 50, folks. It's like,
So
I
am
don't want to say the number,
I.
but you know what I'm saying? So, and I haven't had any plastic surgery. Not like people I know, or people I've met in the past. They've had already plastic surgery, because by the time they're in their 50s, they look really, really like they could use one. so, so, so for me, it's like, yeah, I'm starting to notice little things, Ermelinda. You know what I mean? And that's
Uh-huh.
why I was telling my husband, probably like 2 years ago, I was like, you know what? Don't feel old, even though I am old, or I'm getting even, there now. Therefore, I was like, I think I can work for another 20 years. But now that's like, I'm close to my mid 50s. I'm thinking, I'm starting to notice something, Ermelinda. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, maybe this is something that we only have 10 years. I told my husband, we all probably only have 10 years to really like work hard. And then after probably like 6, 7, 8, we need to ease off, even though we like to be busy. We like being busy, because if we
Yes.
are not doing something, for me, life is boring. I have to have a purpose. That's why every day I have to have an agenda. So that way I know I'm getting things done and I'm very productive that way, right? But if
Yes.
I just don't have any agenda on my notebook to do, then I feel lost. I don't know if you ever feel that way.
Well, that's how it is. Like when we don't have work, like today, there was no work, and it's like, okay. Or if we do have work and we let the kids do the work and we're there, and I'm like, let me let me see if I can find something to do, because I can't just stand around and they're always like, Mom, get away. Leave me alone. Let me work myself. Those are my dads. Leave them alone. So then
but
I have to walk away and I go to the other one and they tell me the same thing. No.
well, let me ask you, Melinda, do you have to be with them when they're doing work, or they can be left alone and you can actually send them out without you being there?
Yes, we set them to the wholesale account on their
Okay.
own. But if it's like a big center, we'll all go over there, because just like yesterday, we had 10 vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got there and Ray worked on a couple. I
Mm-hmm.
did I did the paperwork and a bit, and then we decided we were gonna let them work and we were gonna go bowling. So see, as you get older, it's a little it gets a little bit easier because we have the kids.
Yeah, no. I just like your style, guys. I mean, it's just. I think this thing is all Ray. You know what I mean? Ray is the ringleader on this plan that you have. Okay, let our kids work while we go bowling and enjoy. Okay, life, because we are. He's probably thinking, look, I deserve to enjoy life now because I did my dues. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well,
so,
well, that's how, like, now that we're getting older, we're like, okay, you know, they're able to do stuff. We don't
mhm,
have to always be there if it's not like we're super busy, but when it's super busy, we are. And usually when they go to the wholesale account, we'll go off and do retail accounts
mhm.
and that. So it's always fun to have kids to be able to work with and that. So I guess they depend on us and we depend on them.
Hmm. Now, I like this dynamic because, I mean, I feel like, for I think every culture or every ethnicity, they have their way of doing things that probably was taught to them by their ancestors, right? But I
Right.
feel like you guys are close to what I grew up on as far as the Filipino culture. Like the family are so close knit,
We're
tight,
close.
and like work together, all that stuff. But don't get me wrong, drama can happen too. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean? Geez, like jealousy, drama, blah, 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 blah. That's why at an early age, when my kids are growing up, I made sure that everyone's going to be treated the same. Everyone's going to be loved the same. No one's going to be better than one another, than the other. So that way they can't use it against me and say, hey, this is so and so your favorite, you know, and I'm not your favorite. I don't want that coming back at me because I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just shut it down. I'm gonna like make sure it doesn't get to that point where my own kids are telling me that I have favoritism, because I grew up in a family where there was favoritism, and it's not good if you're not the favorite. You know what I
Uh,
mean? So
yep.
that's why I was like, okay, you guys are all my kids. Everyone's gonna be the same. You know what I mean? So everyone's gonna thrive the same, and it's up to you to work hard, because that's what's going to determine how far you're going to get in life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
So true.
so I actually like that you guys are like, still close to each other and like working together. And you guys also live in the same city, except Mo, you know what I mean? But
Yes.
still, at some point, you guys were all together. I mean, you were from what? You guys came from Alaska, then decided to move to Vegas, and then the kids followed. Isn't
Yep.
it? Is that something like in the
Yeah.
conversation, or they just volunteered to follow you?
No, being that we're such a close family, and we've always just had so our bond is so tight
Hmm.
that the kids always, like when we were in Alaska at one point, Mo went back to Colorado, Mal was there, then they come back and go back, so they go off and do their own, but eventually they'll come back because of our closeness. And as we're getting older, I know they want to try to be closer to us now that we're getting older and that, but sometimes you have to go on your own and do
Hmm.
your own thing. And it was really hurt us when Mo went, because then my other daughter started thinking about going there, and then Melissa, they she at one point too thought about it. So, but sometimes they have to live their own life too.
Hmm.
But being close, we're all close. Family is everything to us.
Yeah. So is that something that they vocally said, or this is what you feel? Feel that that's why they keep coming back, because they kind of they probably sensing that, oh, mom and dad's getting old, so we gotta get close to our parents, because like Filipinos are the same way. Like my cousins, um they actually, when they were in college, one went to Florida, one went to Long Beach, 2-3 hours from us. And then once they got married, and especially the girls, once the girls are like, I think, started a family and will have kids, they decided to move back closer to their mom and dad, just because the mom usually kind of help, with the babies and
Yes,
stuff. Yeah. And it's hard, especially if it's your first baby, you don't know what to do. You're gonna be, for the first time, be a parent. What are you supposed to do with a little baby? You know what I mean? That you've never had any experience how to raise or how to deal with. So obviously,
yes,
that's when the motherly figure comes in, to kind of help. And this is not just my family. It's like I've seen this in other family, in the Filipino cultures. Now, I I think I think you guys, okay, so you guys are the same, but I think other cultures are doing the same thing, because my neighbor across the streets, they're Indians. They do the same thing too. Actually, her family travels here just to help her out with her kids, because she just
uh-huh.
had a baby. You know what I mean? So they're here just to help out for like a month or two, and then they go back to India. So yeah.
Yeah,
Eh,
there's a lot of people that do that. We talk to people all the time. And they're like, "Oh yeah, my mom came for
mhm,
2 months to help me with the baby
mhm,
and that." And with us, I guess being that we all were, in the same state and everything, and that we were able to, they could call us, um, mom, dad, what is it? What is this on the baby? The baby has this bump or something. What does it mean?
Hmm.
And we're able to, help them with it, as opposed to them being, you know, on their own and not knowing,
Yeah.
especially when it's their first child. It's really hard. Like my son right now, he has his first child, and he's every now and then he's like, Mom, he said, what is this bump on my son? He's okay. It's, sometimes they get the heat rash.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Well,
it
it's
is,
good that he's reaching out to you and just to get some kind of pointers of what's going on. What should I do? What's the next step? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I've always like told that to my kids that if you guys ever have a problem about something that you can't solve, or you need somebody to talk to, you can come to me and you know say, hey, I need help here. Because I think now you got to understand, Ermelinda, your kids are much older than my kids, so the younger generation, I kind of notice they don't ask much for help. They try to figure it out, but for me, I always communicated with them that you need to ask for help and advice before you do it, and before you make the mistake, because you're
yes,
just trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some answers there that someone can give you rather than making the mistake. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people that's, hey, don't make any mistake. But if you can prevent it, why not? Right. So that
correct.
way life is not that hard. So
But the bad
let's
thing is you tell them and they do the opposite of what you tell them, though. So you're like, okay, see, we tried to tell you, you had to learn the hard way.
yeah. So now let's go back to work, okay?
Okay.
I actually, okay, folks, also, I forgot to mention it earlier that I'm going to be, since this is like, we're in the same topic here, like work, I'm going to be doing some business talks inside Den Trainer. So anyone who's like looking for some advice, or maybe like as to what needs to be done, as far as the hiring process, taxes, LLC versus incorporation. I figured I'll put that all in there to kind of help our, subscribers or members with their business. Because like you, Ermelinda, you and Ray, you guys started your own business in Nevada, and I'm pretty sure you guys have. Luckily, you guys just do. Do you do retail, like wholesale? Very, very small retail, right?
No, we only have one wholesale account. Mostly we do retail.
Oh, okay. So do you guys actually do some kind of a marketing, or who's booking? Who's booking your appointments?
It's Ray does. They'll either send him via text or
Mm-hmm.
email or through Facebook. They'll send the quotes, the pictures, and all that, and then he'll set up a time that's good for them for us to come out after we look at the schedule to see what we have
Okay.
available.
So basically, Ray is the one who does that, and then he would just disperse the work to whoever, whether it's Melissa or someone else, right?
Correct.
Okay.
It's mainly me and him that will go.
Mhm.
Melissa's been going out a little more for us because for a while there we had a lot of retail that we had, so we were giving her some of the work. Like
Okay,
yesterday, she went and did a bumper.
when you say retail, maybe the definition here, it's like two different. When you say retail, are you talking about like customers calling you, or are you talking about small body shop, or small car rent a car or something like that, or small detailer dealerships? I mean, are
It's
you, huh?
individual persons that will call on their
Okay.
own for the retail. The wholesale accounts, like if you were to get body shop or something like
Okay.
that,
Oh,
as
so
for
you consider
wholesale.
the body shop or small body shop? You mean the big body shops and small body shops retail? You consider
As
that, or you consider that wholesale?
If we go to them on a regular basis, then it's our wholesale. But if we only go to them like once every 6 months or something, then
Hmm.
they're just a retail
Hmm.
customer to us.
Well, because the only reason why I'm asking is because the way you would price your wholesale is different than your body shops, right? I mean, they can't be the same because the load of work that the dealerships will give you is going to be more compared to body shops. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the price is different, right?
Correct. We don't have any of the body shop. I mean, any of the car dealers here because when we got here, there's so many PDR techs here. They already all have the in at the dealership, so they have their own people already there for
Mm-hmm.
PDR.
Hmm. Let me ask you, because you know those big dealerships, like for example, maybe Honda or Mercedes Benz. Um,
Yes.
when Mike and I started the business here, back, way, way, way back, like I don't know, 2 decades ago, over 2 decades ago, actually. Um, some of these dealerships are still individually owned, but then there's this big company, Penske, bought them, and so what ended up happening is that instead of having people like us work on their lots, they actually train in house and they had those people do their PDR. Is that the same in Vegas or not?
At some places, I know, I heard that I think it's Service King or somebody, they just
Hmm.
bought out a PDR, a big PDR place, and they have them working for them. So I guess the tech that was working for them is no longer working for them because it's like a big company that they have now. So it depends. It's on the dealerships and that here.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. And I struck up a conversation with actually my service advisor. And so um because I was like, why are you helping me? He was supposed to be a manager. He's not like a service advisor, right? And I'm like, why are you helping me? Because he took me in his office in the back. I'm like, where are you taking me? This is not the way it should be. He's like, oh, we're working short today, so I'm kind of helping out. And then from there we ended up talking, and then obviously me, I'm talkative. So the conversation can go from one topic to another, to another, to another. So what ended up, happening was he told me, yeah, because I said, you guys are owned by Penske, right? And then he said, yeah. And then I said, so you guys are, because he said, what do you guys do? And I said, we do PDR. And then he's like, oh, we have people doing that for us. And I said, I know we used to service you guys, when you guys are not doing an in-house. And then he's like, yeah, but there's a problem with that. It's like the problem is when, like I think in any other company or any institution, when you train someone and then, the people that you train are like, want to move on, then they go on their own.
Yes.
And then so it's like a cycle of why are you going to train, for example, 5 to 10 PDR guys that works for you. And then now, once they're good at what they do, they're not going to stay in your company anymore. They're going to want to do their own thing. So now you're going into this cycle of just training, and then they really they don't stay, they leave. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I think companies like that, I think they have something in their contract that states you cannot go work for another PDR company or on your own for six or maybe a year to 2 years or something on it.
They can probably just like uh like they can just probably say, okay, a year or two or whatever, but after that it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah. But in the meantime, it's the only reason why I'm bringing it up, because you know how frustrating it is to actually hire someone, go through the hiring process. That's a lot, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, I'm going to tell you, when I hired someone and then I let go of that person, it was draining just going through the process. And this is why big companies out there or corporations, when they have people doing human resources just specifically for
Yeah.
this. And and what ended up happening is that because you're getting all these resumes, then you have to pre-screen the resume to figure out which one you want to interview. Then finally, when you figure it out, you might have like 10 to, I don't know, 20, 30, depending on how many resumes you received. Of course, you want to pick the best out of what, 50 or 30. So you might probably, I don't know, get 10 out of it. But even with 10 resumes, and then you call 10 people, and then it's not like, I mean, folks, it's not like when you call someone, somebody picks up the phone right away. It's
Right.
like you have to leave a message if you didn't catch them, right? So, and then you go back and forth. So if you have like even 5 people that you want to like pre-screen first before you do a second interview, that was like exhausting. That's why, as much as possible, the trick is not to have a turnover all the time. You know what I mean? Not to have at least a lot. So
Yes.
so if you're a good recruiter, or if you're good at what, like me, I pre-screen people. I usually say, oh, okay, I go through the process, ask a lot of questions, and then I take them for a second interview. And then even that, after that, you'd like train them for what, a month or a month and a half. That's like, and then if you can picture this, I'm walking you guys through this because I want you guys to actually picture it in your head. So you went through the process of from the beginning and halfway there. And then you're like, okay, now I'm going to train this person. Then you train the person for a month and a half. Then after that 1 month and a half is done, you think that that person is ready to go on his or her own to be doing the stuff, you know, by himself or herself. You know, if you happen to get a person that's like, you realize you made a boo boo as far as hiring, you're gonna be like going back to the drawing board because, oh man, I gotta start over again this process within like what, 6 months or a year. So when people actually, the recruiters, when they hire, they want to hire someone that would at least last 2 years, 3 years. So that way it'll give them like a break
Yes.
of going through the process again. It's a lot of work. And so the reason why I actually brought it up is because for Penske, that's a lot of exhausting.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Luckily, you guys are not there yet because the people that works for you are actually your family. So you know that the chances of this happening is kind of very low until you guys get bigger in Nevada. Then you're gonna have to hire. If you guys get bigger, obviously you have more work versus the people that you working for you. You're gonna have to
Yes.
hire outside people.
Yes. I know, and trust, it's hard to get people that you could trust. Um, when we lived in Alaska, for example, me and Ray worked 7 days a week. Ray worked 2 jobs. I owned a tanning salon up there, and I managed it on my own. Um, Monique, Melissa, and Zelina every now and then would come and cover for me,
Hmm.
but to get employees, I didn't trust any of the employees. Just from when when we started, and everybody was so happy that I was there and that I was running it because they were like, "Oh yeah, the last owner, the people were so rude. The manager, she was never here, or she was out. She had a note on the door, come back." And then they were taking stuff from them, and they would give, like, this one young girl told us one time, she's like, "Yeah, I come in and I get a tab for free because I cleaned the beds for them." And I was like, "What?"
What?
They were having her come in, a young girl at like 16, 15, 16, cleaning their beds, doing their work, and letting her tab for free.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
so yeah, trust, and with family, um, you could trust your family, and that's what I'm glad that we were able to finally get a business that we could expand and get our children into it, and hopefully our grandchildren will start getting into the business too.
Hmm. I didn't think about that. You guys are gonna try to like kind of like pass it on to the grandkids too. I mean, you know what? it's good to be, doing dance, right? Because if you work hard, the money is there, right?
Yes.
And obviously, I think, especially if you're running your own business, you know what I mean? Um, for me, I think, oh, hold on. Hold on. We're talking, and then I just noticed there's two comments. Oh, guess who? And I didn't see this.
It's Mo, huh?
Hey, boss ladies. Hi, Mo. I don't know if you're still here. Sorry. I'm
Miss
just like,
you.
yeah, we were just talking and talking, and I'm like, what? Okay, let's see who's here. Oh, guess who's here? Such good conversation. Yes. Yes.
Family.
Yep. Family is everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But, I am with you, Ermelinda. Trust is so hard when you own a business because I like the like the hiring process. I just talked about that, right?
Uh,
So you hire somebody, obviously you're gonna trust that person. That's why you hire that person. But then along the way, you start finding things about the person, and then you have to make a decision: should I let go of the person, or should I put up with it? But
yeah.
as a business owner, I know what's right. I can't put up with this stuff because if you're letting them get away with one thing,
Leads
then
to
the
another.
next thing you know, they're doing other things that they shouldn't be doing. So you got to hold them accountable at all times. So I think for me, that's one of the stuff that I question myself. I'm like, okay, do I want to go through the process of hiring? Cause that was like dreadful. But then I'm like, I can't ignore what's the issue here because I know it's just going to get worse and bigger. Right. So I
Yes.
had to, you know, take myself and bring myself to reality and say, hey, you know what, Mary? Even though you're going to probably do the hiring process again to hire another person, you're just going to have to do it because if you don't, it's not really solving your problem if you're just putting up with something like this, and I think in a way I had to ask myself, I'm like, I kind of do feel betrayed because I trusted that person that this thinking that this
Yeah.
thing is going to work out. And I'm a nice person if you don't mess with me. You mess with me, I'm going to be your worst nightmare.
You better not
Even
sleep
in
at
your
night.
dream. What?
I said you better not sleep at night. Mary's gonna haunt you.
Mm,
you.
But
You know Ray calls you crazy, so
that's why, because he saw it firsthand. He's like, I mean, he was daring me to do stuff. And I said, you don't think I'm going to do it? Okay. Watch me. Watch and learn.
oh, this figure's Ray. He likes to end people on.
Ray's face was like this. And then after that, he came up to me and he said, Mary, you're crazy. And that's how the nickname started. Look, there he's commenting because he's crazy.
He has you in his phone as Crazy Mary.
I know. He said, that's what he said. That's what he told me. And I said, Ray, I appreciate that. It's like an endearment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know
But
I'm
he did.
crazy.
Yeah, but he did tell me that you will fit in my family, Mary. And I'm like, oh, good. So that way, so that's why I'm like, you know what? I like that. I don't have to be someone else to fit in your world. You know what I mean? So I want to be me and accept me for who I am. As long as I'm doing good and I'm not, doing something bad to other people or harming other people or being deceiving, then just let me be who I am.
Yes.
Like Ray, I just accepted Ray for who he is too and you. So I was like, okay, that's why the friendship is doing well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Yep. So you don't have to pretend, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. You can just relax and be
Yes.
who you are. Yes, exactly. So that's why I'm saying. So I kind of feel like betrayed because I'm like, I was treating this person really good, like, buying
Like a friend.
the person lunch all the time. It's like if, I went on vacation, when I came back, I have like a little present for the person. I didn't have to do that. But you know what? Business is business. I cannot mix business with pleasure. I always stand by that rule, and that for me it's a motto, that this is the rule that I have to abide by, because once I make an exception for little things, then more things going to come up that pretty soon you're going to lose yourself because you're allowing certain things that you don't believe in. Then, you know what I mean? It's going to be
Yes.
chaos. Yeah. That's
Yes.
why I know what you mean about trusting people. And this is what I also found out, Armalinda. Um, I think, when I was in college, my teacher actually made me think, because he was saying, your parents, when they were like giving you lectures and scolding you, that generation doesn't understand this generation. And then he explained that maybe if the older generation would take the time to understand us, then we'll somehow like make it better. We'll somehow make our relationship better, because I've seen it too. Like the older generation, somehow their kids, they don't get their kids, and then next thing you know, there's a rift, or there's a miscommunication, there's hurt feelings and all that stuff. But what I noticed with the younger generation, because the older generation are, hardworking people, right? But somehow the
Yes.
younger generation is like, I'm starting to notice now. I'm hearing it, but I don't believe it until I see it. And
Uh-huh.
then so now I'm kind of seeing it. Luckily, I teach I teach and continue to teach my kids to be not those kind of
Yes.
people. Yeah, that you actually have to work hard and go after your goals and to achieve it, right? You're
Yes.
nodding your head, so
That's work. Yeah. To succeed, you have to work and you have to give it your all. You can't just be there 50% of the time. You have to give it 110% and
yes.
make it work. Even some days like here, even though we own the company where work for ourselves, sometimes it gets tough working out in 120 degrees temperatures, and that your hands start to hurt, or even in the cold they start to hurt. Um, Work is a challenge, but you go through it to get through it to make it work.
I know. I
And the
commend
young
you
kids
guys.
just don't understand it.
No, no, no. I admire you guys, because you know what? Working in heat outside Las Vegas, it's a lot. So
Yes,
I
it is.
can't believe, I mean, luckily you guys figure it out, because I remember one time when I went to Vegas, I was driving my van and I had a flat tire. I had to wait for AAA, Auto Club, to
Yes.
to fix my tire. And the 15 minutes I was out there feels like forever. And I thought I was going to die. And then I'm thinking, okay, you got to calm down, Mary, because people actually lives here and they got used to this. So don't be, I actually talk to myself, don't be spoiled, because when people are actually working here in Vegas, this is what they deal with every day, 5 days a week, or maybe 6 days a week. So I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, what do you guys do during the summer when it's really hot? How do you do work?
Well, thanks to Matt and Get a Grip, his umbrellas are a lifesaver.
Hey, Matt, if you're listening, this is why you should listen to my podcast, because we promote your business. Get a grip.
Oh yeah, we were out at somebody's house the other day, and I
Uh-huh.
put up the umbrella, and they're in an RV park, and they were like, "Oh, that is so neat. Where did you get that?" And so he was going to go on and buy some from Get a Grip to put on their RV, so when
Uh-huh.
they're sitting outside, they have the umbrellas.
Oh,
I told him, I said, "You put that up, and it's like total. You could tell the difference. The heat.
yeah,
It's the ground. Don't wear black shoes because your feet will like feel like it's melting."
really?
Yes.
I never thought of it that way. Is that something that you guys experience and learn that, hey, if we are wearing certain color of shoes, then it makes a
Yes.
difference? Oh, okay. I I've been going to Vegas because Vegas is only like 4 or 5 hours. While we used to, when Mike and I, before Mike and I had kids, he would actually try and drive it in like 3.5 to 4 hours. So, so it's
See,
not,
even
it's not,
now we know why he has that car. No.
well, before that, when we were dating, it was like an M3.
Oh,
So he was really going fast, so, and I'm like, no, Vegas is supposed to be 5 hours. He'll be like, no, I can
yeah.
just get there in 4. And if I'm in a good day, it'll be with no traffic, 3.5. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? Maybe Ray is right. Californians are crazy drivers. The podcast we had last time, Ray was saying the Californians are, you know, crazy drivers. I don't know the word he used. Bad drivers or crazy. I don't remember exactly, but he was saying that we are like bananas as far as driving, and he actually got me thinking, and I'm like, yeah, we don't drive 65 ever. If somebody's
What is
driving
65?
60, yeah, if somebody's driving 65 miles per hour here, you're going to be considered as like
Slow.
slow and old, and you don't want to be labeled as old. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he got me thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, he's got a point. But you know what I tell people, Ermelinda?
Uh,
If I'm on the road, don't do me wrong, because guess what? 2 things. It's a joke, okay? Folks, this is a joke. Okay. I don't want anyone like saying, oh, Mary's being, I don't know, sexist or anything like that. Or, you know what I mean? This is a joke. What I usually tell people, just for a laugh, that I'm a female driver. Second, I'm also a Pacific Islander, which is Asian driver. So there's 2 things, female and Asian. You don't want to be driving next to me.
you're funny.
Because when I'm driving that, Silverado, the big truck, I call it the big beast. Oh man, maybe just a little bit of to the right. I'll get you there. I'll nip your side swipe your car, or maybe to the left. And while
Bumper
I'm up
cars.
here, what?
Bumper cars.
No, I noticed that even Michael. Here goes Ray. Remember that, Ray? Remember that, Ray? You don't want to be next to me when I have the truck, because I'll be like, oops, sorry, an accident happened. Yeah, when I'm actually driving the truck, even Mike noticed it. When he's driving the truck, nobody there wants to cut in front of him, because you're gonna get hit with the big beast.
Ran over.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, that's good that, okay, so don't wear black shoes. What about black shirt? Because Mike always said that when it's hot outside, you're not supposed to wear black shirt. In the beginning, I didn't believe him, because I'm like, I love dark colors.
Uh-huh.
I didn't think there's a difference between light and dark, as far as going out there. I thought it was like the mindset. But
Well, actually, some people say that you should wear the darker colors when you're in the heat, in the sun.
really?
Yes.
Oh,
But
what's the
I
reason
actually,
behind that?
I don't know. Actually, ask Ray. He'd be the one to ask. No.
Oh, okay, hold on. So this came from Ray?
No. But
Oh,
you know the reason he no.
I thought this came from Ray, because I'll be like, I know why he probably said it, because dark colors complements your body. It makes you look skinny.
Yep.
That's why that's why I wear a lot of dark, because it's like, especially the black, it's kind of elegant, and then it complements your body. And actually, when I first met Mike told me, it's like, you only wear black or dark colors. Is there a reason why? I'm like, why do you have a problem with the stuff that I wear? He said it would be nice if there's different colors you would wear.
Colors. He thought you were gothic, huh?
Although I had friends that are gothic in high school, you know what I mean? I hung around with them, like the punk rockers and the
Uh,
gothic one, or the mod, you know what I mean? The rebel, right? Like in the 80s, you were like labeled as that. Our uniform
okay,
for women is pink or purple. Is that
purple.
right?
That is correct.
Pink or purple. Okay, why pink?
Are you gonna answer her? No.
Yeah, I figured you're gonna, you
Well,
know.
you know what? The pink really stands out for us, and whenever we're working, we get so many people stop and look because of the pink shirts. And
Really?
they're like, "Oh wow, you're a woman working on that car?"
Oh, because they're probably, identifying, whoa, you're a female and you're pushing dent, right? And then to
But
wear pink, you stand out more.
but let me tell you, pink goes against you sometimes because when we used to do the refrigerators, me we went to a house and we knocked on the door and we're wearing pink and the guy looked at us and he was like, "Oh, I thought you were the cleaning ladies coming." I was like, "No, we came to fix your refrigerator."
Who did you go with? Was it Mo or Melissa?
It was Melissa I went with that time.
They thought you were a housekeeper or something.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say, "Oh, I thought you're here to, like a, I don't know, stripper or something." 'Cause-
And well, we have our bag with us too, so it looks like you got a cleaning bag.
OMG. Okay, so why purple? Is that something that Ray likes to, I mean, does he like the color purple? I mean, who came up with that?
Well, actually, we we went off with different colors that we were trying to see what would,
Mm-hmm.
stand out more for us.
Mm-hmm.
What is he saying?
Oh, Mo Castillo said white, beige, and gray or red will absorb less sun than darker colors. I hate the pink. Oh,
She
okay.
did. They hated the pink. They hated to wear the pink.
Really? Melissa hated to wear the pink too?
Yes, but
Why?
they got used to it. I don't know. They Why did you guys not like the pink? They really hated. They were like, "Why pink, Dad?"
So Ray's the one who came up with the idea of the color, like the uniform. And he's the one who brought it up. He said the uniforms for women is pink or purple. Okay. So it's
and
pink or purple.
and then it's dark blue and purple for.
Is there something, you know what? I noticed too, your logo, it's got a purple in it, I think, right?
Yes.
Does it? Yeah. So is there something special with the purple that,
No. Well, Ray's band when he first got it, the color looked purple, and so we were like, "Oh, that's a good color." So I thought it matched really good.
oh, okay. So that's how you guys made a decision that, hey, we're going to have something
Well,
like a purple on our uniform or
well,
even the hat.
he was looking just for shirts for himself, and then
Mhm.
he ended up getting some for us too. So we were able to
Mm,
wear purple too.
mm-hmm.
The purple ones they're supposed to be the cool wicking. The
Uh-huh.
pink ones are really, really good in the heat.
Uh-huh.
They're real cool wicking, but the purple ones I tend to seem like I sweat more in them. They're I think that they're not the moisture wicking like the other brand are. The
Mm-hmm.
pink ones. I like the pink ones in the heat, and then when it gets cooler, I like to wear the purple.
Uh-huh. Well, you know what Mo said? They know we are women. They don't need to know that by pink. Oh, okay. But I
But
think Mo,
they
if
see
you,
you.
yeah, but I think from afar,
Yes,
especially if you have a ponytail on, or like, I don't know, like a braid or even like a cap to kind of like, you know, block off the sun from your, what you're doing, right? Or your vision. So from a distance, it's probably hard to tell whether it's a man or a woman working on the dent. You know what I mean? So, but if you are wearing pink, then you're going to stand out there, even from a distance.
yes.
Okay. Let's see. Ray said the colors are relaxing to the customers. Really, Ray? Did you do some kind of survey here? I'm just messing with you, Ray. Folks, I'm the only one that can do that besides his family. I can mess around with Ray like that. Okay, somebody's here. Alejandro. This is Alejandro. Okay. Hello,
Hello.
to the Gonzalez family. There you go.
We miss you guys.
Oh my gosh. The callers are relaxing to the customers.
It don't hurt their eyes.
Oh man. Yeah. So do you guys work? I know you guys have some kind of like hours too, isn't it? Like the early, if especially if you know it's gonna be hot, you guys work, you try to get your work out of the way as early as possible. And then by midday when it's really scorching hot out there, then you guys stop working, right?
Yes, we try to have it work out that way, but it doesn't always.
It doesn't always work out.
No. And then once it gets colder, we'll switch off and we'll go in a little later, start appointments a little later because working outside, we have to have the without using the heat gun all the time and that we want it to be a certain temperature for us too before we go out working in the cold.
Yeah, so that means that you have to be creative as far as when you're booking your retail customers, because you know that book probably is going to have like customers early in the morning and then midday, like you guys are taking a break, and then like early afternoon again, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you have to be creative. Have you ever come across a situation where you have to call the customers and say, hey, by the way, because of the heat, we need to reschedule your appointment? Have you?
Yes, we have, and for heat, not as much as heat because most of the times when we go to their house or something, they're in the garage, so we can work on them there. And then the umbrellas also, we just have to take some ice to cool off the panels and that.
What?
It's mainly, yeah, we put ice
Hold
on
on.
it.
This is like, okay, so this is like, this is something new that I heard. You take ice to cool off the panel?
Yes, when it's really hot. Or
Okay.
just pour cold water onto it
Yeah.
and it cools it down.
Oh, who figured that out? Who figured that out? Is it Mr. Ray Gonzalez? Oh, you just throw some water there. It should be ready for work in 5 minutes.
I know.
Never heard of that. I don't think other PDR techs do that.
They should try it.
But
if the temperatures are as hot as ours,
yes, folks, only do this in Las Vegas, because if you're in Minnesota and it's cold already and you throw some cold stuff on that, then
it's just gonna freeze.
Yes, you're gonna crack some paint.
Crack your paint.
Oh my gosh. Interesting. That's good. Okay. So that's good. That's a good advice for people like in Vegas, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Ray popped in. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Ermelinda was the first to use cold water.
Yes.
Is that something just like out of the blue, you just like, okay, I think if I put water here, it might like make it better. It's almost like, when someone is sick and then you have a child that's sick, you're like, oh, maybe if this doesn't work, let's try this. It's like an instinct, right?
Well, I always have, they hate it because I like to chew on ice, eat ice all the time. And so I always have ice. And I was like, let me just cool down the panel with this. And then they were like, okay, yeah, use all that ice on that panel so you'll stop chewing on it.
Hey, you know where what state this would be actually useful? It's like New York, because during the summer, New York gets really hot too, right? Or does it get humid? Because I know Las Vegas is a desert, so it doesn't get humid, but I know New York gets hot, but maybe humid. Oh, you don't need that. I don't know.
Actually, we got humid temperatures here for what, about I think like a month or so.
Really?
Yeah, it was miserable. It was worse than working in 120 temperatures. We'd be
I
out there
think
just totally soaked.
I know. Speaking of that, I think we experienced that too. And then I was thinking in my head, I was like, wait, I guess this is what it feels like to be in North Carolina or South Carolina, when the humidity is really bad. Because we don't get humid here too in San Diego.
Yeah,
But yeah.
we got a lot of rain, so the rain caused it.
Hmm.
We've been getting a lot of rain. Actually, it was raining. It
Yeah.
stopped already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This year's weather is really weird.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, normally we don't turn on our air conditioning, but this past few weeks it's been on. And I usually turn it off when we go to work, you know what I mean? Just to
Uh,
give it a break. Because Mike is always hot. He needs to have the air conditioning on all the time.
that's me. Ray hates it. He's like, man, it's freezing. I'm like, no, I'm roasting. I know I'm going through the change, but still, it's hot.
No, you know what? Last time I spoke to Ray, last time we did a podcast together, I asked him, hey, I said, hey, one of your family member mentioned that you are thinking about doing a podcast. But actually, there's something better than a podcast for your family. It should be like a reality show.
Oh my
You guys
gosh,
should have a
Mary, you got
reality
a
show
funny.
instead of a podcast.
Everybody tells us, and Monique has been wanting to for the longest time. And what's funny is we went to fix a guy's car the other day, and he's like this exotic car blogger, and
Uh-huh.
we were telling him some of the stuff that like the cake fights and stuff that we have at the house, and he's like, "Oh my God, you guys should really put on a YouTube page." He said you guys would blow it out of the park.
Yeah, no, because just the girls alone, when they're like, I don't know, fight or talk to each
Yes,
other, just that one, it's like, oh, this is interesting. Is something gonna happen? You know what I mean? Just watching them, probably is something going to happen, or even like maybe Ray talking to the kids. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, you don't need a podcast. You need a reality
I
show.
know. Let me tell you, Mary. Anytime a fight could break out with our kids. We went to Colorado one time, and our family with our my brother-in-law, my sister, and all their family and that were in this big room. They put us in this room because we have so many people.
Uh huh.
Well, at the end of it, Mo and Zelina, something happened. Zelina said something smart or something, and then Mo, and then Ray, of course, he started edging it on. You're gonna take that, and so they start fighting. They knocked over the table and everything. And my brother-in-law's like, "Could you guys please don't do that? They're not gonna let us come back in the restaurant anymore."
Did you see what Mo said? Keeping up
But
with the Gonzalez. Been saying it
yes,
for years. Has
she
she been
has.
saying
She's trying to get famous off of Ray anyway, no, without her knowing. And
it?
just like when we went to, he always tells everybody when we went to Mexico one time, Melissa and Mo, we were drinking and everything and that, and then they started fighting, like, right there, and they were on the ground struggling. This guy came up and he's like, "Oh my God, do I need to call the security?" And Ray's like, "No, they're sisters." He's like, "Oh, okay."
So the question is, you guys don't get embarrassed? I mean, like that example, that one that you just said, because Mike,
No,
you, that's
our
good. You
family.
guys don't get embarrassed. You know what I mean? Because like with Mike, even if my kids, I remember when the kids were little and we're in the restaurant, and if one of them get fussy in the restaurant, Mike will take them outside the restaurant and kind of like soothe them. And when he comes back, the kid is like, stop crying. He doesn't like bothering other people. He doesn't want
Yeah,
kids to, you know what I mean, just with the noise. So I'm like thinking you guys are totally opposite. You, on the other hand, you guys are like, no, let them be. Depending on how far is this gonna go or how big it's gonna get, let them be. I think I think the kids probably grew like a thick skin, and they kind of realized, well,
yes.
our parents not gonna stop us. They're not gonna be the referee. Therefore, we'll just stop ourselves when we're done with this.
No, they had Ray as a dad. They would fight over clothes and that, and he'd be like, "Okay, you guys want to fight?" go in the room and fight until one or the other had it.
Oh my gosh. Me on the other hand, with my kids, my two older ones, when they fight, I knew it's gonna get into like physical, and I want to prevent that as soon as possible, because my girl will really beat my son. Although my son, I told him, don't hit a woman, don't ever do that. So later on, you would see them like running around because one is chasing the other. You know what I mean? Because
Uh-huh.
yeah, that's why I usually try to stop it before it starts. You know what I mean? My husband, on the other hand, is just like, he doesn't hear anything. He doesn't see anything either.
Like, oh, da, da, da.
And
What
then
just happened?
I'll go up to him and I'm like, are you going to do something? Do you see my eyes? Do something.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
I know. It's just so funny. But anyways, hey, Irma Linda, do you have more to share with us? I mean, it's been an hour. I mean, we can do like part two of this, Actually, I want to invite you next time I do my Mary Unapologetic podcast, because I will have a topic that we're going to like talk about, you know what I mean? And I want to bring you in again. So, do you have something to share before we go?
Nope. Just everybody, family means everything. So love them because they won't be with you forever.
Well, you know what? It's good talking to you. But before we go, I just want to say, folks, MTE, Mobile Tech Expo, it's happening next year. It's every January now. I mean, sometimes it will go in February, but then I guess this year it's going to be in January again. Are you guys going?
We are actually, but we're only going to be there. I think we get in Friday and we'll probably leave on Saturday like we did the year before. So,
Oh, so you guys were gone by Saturday?
well, usually we go take a cruise after.
Oh, must be nice.
But we're doing our cruise early this year, no?
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Mike and I will be there, and we're gonna be at education. It's already set. I believe it's on Thursday. I'll start in the morning, and then Mike is in the afternoon. I just literally, I mean, we were invited, and I literally like, okay, let me get back to you because I'm busy right now. And then literally today, I just finally said, okay, this is what we're gonna talk about. Good topics, that we're going to cover. And so, folks, don't forget Mobile Tech Expo next year. I haven't booked my hotel yet. Have you?
No, what we usually stay over at the Vista K right across. It's like it's like a townhouse that we used to get like a 3-bedroom, and then that way
Is it like a
kids
walking
and big
distance, or
house.
do you have to drive?
What it's about how many blocks do you think, Ray? Oh, he's ignoring me. It's probably you probably could walk, but you want to probably take a car. So
Okay.
that way, yeah, because yeah, you probably want a car.
Yeah, we're staying at the host hotel. We just like to stay locally in that area, so that way we're not like rushing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's like there's so much going on, and that the last thing I want to do is drive around, or look
yes,
for parking or something like that. Yeah. So it's good to stay in the host hotel. Yeah.
yes.
When are you guys haven't decided yet when you're coming in? Well,
Um,
obviously we have to be there
we're-
before Thursday, me and Mike.
we'll probably get there Friday because we'll work on Thursday and then leave out Thursday night, get there Friday morning.
Okay.
That's
Well
usually how
then,
we try to do it.
we're speaking on Thursday, so Friday we're gonna do celebration. Then we'll probably go do
Okay.
dinner or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you for having me, Mary.
Oh, you're welcome. This is fun.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I was like, oh man, I've never done one of these though.
I told you, I'm gonna, I got your back. I'm gonna make it interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah. Okay. Well, folks, this is it. We are saying goodbye. My name is Mary Toledo, and my guest,
Ermelinda.
my guest is, yeah. Go ahead, Ermelinda. Say your name.
Ermelinda Gonzalez.
Ermelinda Gonzalez with DentoFact. And I'm saying goodbye. Oh, actually, we're saying goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.